I have replayed those 10 minutes so many times I could recite them frame by frame. The fluorescent lights, the smell of rotisserie chicken, the exact moment 19 years of marriage started to crack open. I didn't know it yet. I just thought I was buying groceries. It was a normal Saturday. Coffee, farmer's market, then Riverside Market with Eric, the way we'd done it for 19 years. He kissed my forehead in the cereal aisle like always. Grabbed the wrong coffee just to make me laugh. Ordinary. The kind of Saturday you forget the moment it's over. At checkout, Eric touched my elbow. "I'll just step outside. 10 minutes. Need to take a call. Whitmore account's a mess." I nodded. Weekend work calls weren't unusual. He was a financial consultant. I bagged the groceries myself and waited. 10 minutes became 15. No text. No Eric. That's when Frank found me. Silver-haired, store vest, a badge that said 22 years. He looked at me carefully, like he'd rehearsed this. "Ma'am, I think you should come with me." He led me to the security office and pulled up footage without much explanation. And there was Eric, not in the parking lot, but in a back corridor near the loading dock, standing close to a woman I didn't know. Dark blonde hair, blazer, nothing scandalous happening, but a familiarity between them that didn't need touching to be obvious. "This isn't the first time," Frank said, not unkindly. "My wife passed a few years back. I always wished someone had told her sooner." He shrugged. "Figured you'd want to know." I thanked him. I don't remember what I said. I walked back out to Eric, leaning against the car, smiling, taking the bags from my hands, kissing my cheek. I said nothing. 19 years, and it turned out I was better at hiding things than I ever imagined. That night, for the first time in 19 years, I watched Eric turn his phone face down and slide it under his pillow before sleep. I didn't confront him. I've never been the type to shake a man awake and demand answers. I needed the whole picture first. So the next morning I bought a plain black notebook and started writing things down. Dates, times, excuses. Eric himself had taught me this, years ago, arguing about finances. Don't react emotionally. Look at the pattern. So I did. Within 2 weeks, the pattern was undeniable. Every Thursday, every second Tuesday, always some vague client name, Whitmore, Sanderson, then a company called Ashford Group I'd never heard him mention. These weren't spontaneous excuses. They were scheduled. One Tuesday, I lied for the first time in 19 years, told him I had my own dinner, and instead parked across from a coffee shop called Bellamy's, where he'd said his Ashford meeting was. Eric arrived first, in his charcoal suit. 20 minutes later, the woman from the security footage walked in alone and sat across from him like they'd done this 100 times. I watched for 40 minutes. No affection, no stolen kiss. What passed between them was a folder, papers, Eric pointing at a page while she nodded, serious, businesslike. They didn't arrive together. They didn't leave together. This wasn't romance, or if it was wrapped around something else, something practiced. Eric started changing in small ways only a wife of 19 years would catch. His phone went everywhere with him now, even to the shower. He changed his passcode twice in 2 weeks. "Work security protocols," he mumbled. He started taking evening walks alone, phone to his ear, voice low, saying, "Just work," a little too quickly. I didn't push. I needed him careless a while longer. Then, one rainy Sunday, while Eric was at the gym, I was sorting old tax files, a routine as old as our Saturday grocery runs, when I found a single page tucked inside a folder marked Investments 2021. An account number I'd never seen, not joint, not a name I recognized. 19 years, and I thought I knew every account we held. I didn't say a word to him. Instead, I called Rebecca Lawson, a sharp, unflinching attorney I'd known for years. "I think my husband is hiding something," I told her. "I don't know what yet." Rebecca brought in a forensic accountant named David Chen. For weeks, he combed through every statement, every filing. At first, nothing jumped out. Eric had always managed our finances closely. Then David found it. Small transfers, 400 here, 600 there, moving out of Eric's business account, Always just under the threshold that triggers bank reporting. Monthly. Deliberate. Every transfer went to the same place. A company called Meridian Consulting Group. On paper, a 5-year-old consulting firm. In reality, almost no footprint, no real clients, no evidence of actual work. And over 5 years, it had quietly received just over $340,000. People don't build structures like this by accident, Rebecca told me. They don't hide money this carefully unless they're planning for something. A divorce. A future they're building without you in it. I thought of the folder passed across the table at Bellamy's. I don't think she's just someone he's seeing, I said slowly. I think she's connected to this company. 3 days later, David pulled the ownership records. The registered owner, the sole founding member of Meridian Consulting Group, was her, Natalie Brooks, the woman from the security footage, the woman from the coffee shop. I said her name out loud once, alone in a parking garage, just to see how it felt. It felt like nothing, an ordinary name attached to a woman who'd been quietly reshaping my life for years without my knowledge. I researched her the way you do at midnight, with cold tea beside you, while your husband sleeps upstairs. Her LinkedIn was polished. Strategic business consultant, growth partnerships. But Rebecca's paralegal pulled court records that told a different story. 2 old civil suits, a breach of contract claim from a former business partner, and an investor who accused her of misrepresenting a company's profitability, both settled quietly. That was the piece that finished the picture for me. Natalie Brooks wasn't a mistress stumbled into by a bored husband. She was a professional, someone who built shell companies and moved other people's money for a living, and Eric wasn't her lover so much as her latest account. David traced it further. Meridian wasn't just receiving Eric's transfers. It was moving them again, in smaller amounts, into accounts under Natalie's name, and from there into 2 properties neither of us had ever discussed. A condo 2 hours away, and a piece of undeveloped land held under an LLC with her name buried in the paperwork. Eric wasn't funding an affair, he was funding an exit. Our exit, his, without me in it. I stopped writing in the notebook after that. I didn't need it anymore. I had bank records, ownership filings, 5 years of transfers, and a forensic accountant's sworn analysis. What I needed now was timing. Rebecca laid it out plainly. We file first. We freeze what we can freeze, and you decide how you want him to find out, quietly through his lawyer, or in a room where he has to look at you while he explains it. I thought about the gray Henley, the kiss in the cereal aisle, 19 years of a marriage I thought I understood down to its rhythms, and I realized I already knew which room I wanted. I invited Eric to Rebecca's office myself, told him it was about refinancing the house. He walked in relaxed, in his charcoal suit, the one he wore for important clients. He stopped smiling the moment he saw David's spreadsheet already laid open on the table, and the ownership filing beside it, with Natalie Brooks' name circled in red. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. I just watched something in his face give way. The same careful, practiced expression he'd worn every Thursday for years, finally cracking in real time. $340,000, I said. A condo, a piece of land. All of it while I sat across from you at dinner, asking about your day. He started to talk about pressure, about Natalie handling investments for him, about how it wasn't what it looked like. I let Rebecca do the talking after that. The divorce that followed wasn't quiet, but it wasn't a fight either, not really. Not once the paperwork was in the room. Eric had spent 5 years building a structure to protect money he thought I'd never find. He hadn't planned for a wife patient enough to outweight him, or careful enough to let him think he was still getting away with it right up until the moment he wasn't. I kept the house. I kept half of everything the forensic trail could prove was ours to begin with, and a judge took a dim view of a man who'd spent half a decade quietly funneling marital assets into another woman's name. Natalie Brooks, as it turned out, had done this before. Rebecca made sure that history followed her into every filing. I still shop at Riverside Market. I still see Frank sometimes, restocking shelves, careful and slow with the customers who need help reaching things. I never got the chance to properly thank him for those 10 minutes that ended one life and started another. But I think about him more than almost anyone else from that year. An old man who'd learned the hard way that some truths are worth handing to a stranger, even when it costs him something to do it. I learned something too. That patience isn't weakness. That silence can be a strategy instead of a wound. And that the 10 minutes you think are about to break you are sometimes just the 10 minutes that finally show you the truth.